If you're still treating Texas gun carry like it's anything goes, 2026 is the year that mindset can wreck your life. Because in Texas, the fastest way to catch a felony is not being a bad guy. It's being a normal gun owner who didn't know one rule. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to reveal could save you from a decade in prison. Hit that button now. All right, let's talk Texas gun laws in 2026 in plain English. No fluff, no tough guy talk, no legal word salad, just the stuff that keeps regular people out of jail. I want you to picture this for a second. You're not robbing anybody. You're not threatening anybody. You're not looking for drama. You're just living your life. You've got your handgun because you want to protect your family. You run errands. You pick up food. You go to work. You might even go to church. And then one day, you walk into the wrong place, or you miss one sign, or you misunderstand one carry rule, and suddenly your gun is not protection. It's evidence. That's what this video is about, avoiding the simple mistakes that can turn into life-changing charges. Here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to break this down into simple segments. I'm going to use everyday examples. And I'm going to tell you what most people get wrong so you don't repeat it. Segment 1. Permitless carry did not remove the rules. It changed which rule gets you first. A lot of people hear permitless carry, and they translate it as, I can do whatever I want. That's the first trap. Texas let many people carry a handgun in public without an LTC. LTC means license to carry. But Texas also says very clearly that you still have to qualify under the law. If you don't qualify, you can't carry just because you feel like it. So what does qualify mean in real life? It means you can't be in a group of people who are barred from possessing a firearm. That can come from state law or federal law. And here's the part that messes with people. You might be prohibited and not even realize it. Some people think, I'm not a felon, so I'm fine. But the truth is, there are other things that can block you. Certain misdemeanors can matter, certain protective orders can matter, gang-related restrictions can matter, and intoxication can matter. This is where most people accidentally step on a landmine. They rely on what their friend said, or what a meme said, or what a random comment said. Then they carry with total confidence until a traffic stop proves they never understood the real rules. Imagine you're driving home. You have your handgun. It's in a holster like you're supposed to do. You get pulled over for speeding or a broken taillight. The officer asks for your license and insurance. Normal stuff. Then the officer asks something like, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Now your heart rate jumps because you don't want trouble. You say, yes, I have a handgun. At this point, the stop goes one of two ways. If you are legally allowed to have it, it's usually fine. Not always comfortable, but usually fine. If you are not legally allowed to have it, this stop can turn into a real criminal case fast. And here's the brutal part. You could have no bad intentions at all. You could be polite, you could be calm, you could be a good guy. And the law still doesn't care, because eligibility is eligibility. Now let's talk about age, because 2026 is still full of confusion on this one. Texas law sets the carry age at 21, but there was a federal court case that affected enforcement against 18 to 20-year-olds in certain ways, and Texas DPS adjusted how it handled LTC applications for that age group. That means you can't just go off what your cousin said about 18 is fine now. If you're 18 to 20, you need to double check the current reality for your situation before you carry, because this area has been changing and people get it wrong all the time. One more thing that matters. Permitless carry did not expand gun rights to people who were already prohibited. If you were blocked before, you don't magically become legal because the carry rules changed. So here's the simple takeaway for segment 1. Before you carry in 2026, you need to be honest with yourself about your record, your court history, and your current legal status. If you're unsure, don't guess. Get real legal help and confirm. Because guessing with a gun can be the most expensive guess of your life. Segment 2. The where will get you faster than the how. This is the part that shocks most gun owners. Most people spend all their energy on how can I carry, open or concealed, a holster or bag, car or waistband. But the bigger danger is, where are you carrying? Texas has what people often call prohibited places. These are locations where carry can be illegal, even if you are normally allowed to carry. And private property rules are another big part of the where problem. Let me explain the private property piece in plain English. In Texas, businesses and private property owners can ban firearms on their property if they give proper notice. Notice can be verbal. Notice can also be written, like signs. Here's what most people get wrong. They think signs are just decorations. They're not. Some signs have legal force if they meet certain requirements. Other signs don't meet requirements. But that doesn't mean you can ignore the property owner. Because if someone with authority tells you to leave and you refuse, you can still be in trouble. So you need to understand the 3 big sign numbers you see in Texas: 35, 3006, and 3007. 30.05 is tied to criminal trespass notice involving firearms. Texas even spells out a sample sign message for 30.05. It has requirements like being in English and Spanish, with block letters at least 1 inch high, in contrasting colors, posted in a clearly visible way at each entrance. If you've ever walked into a store and saw a tiny sticker that says no firearms, that is not automatically the same thing as a proper 30.05 notice sign. Now, 30.06 and 30.07 are different. These two signs focus on people carrying under an LTC. 30.06 is about banning concealed carry by LTC holders. 30.07 is about banning open carry by LTC holders. Here's the weird part that confuses people in 2026. With permitless carry, some people think LTC signs don't matter anymore. But the reality is, the sign system still matters, and property owners may use different signs to cover different kinds of carry situations. So you cannot walk into every business thinking signs are irrelevant now. Now let's do a real-world scenario. You walk into a restaurant. You're carrying concealed. You feel good. You see a sign near the door. You don't read it. You assume it's about masks or hours. You sit down. You order food. Then you stand up to grab a refill and your shirt lifts up. Someone sees the outline, or the clip, or the holster. A manager comes over and says, "Sir, we don't allow firearms here." At this moment, your next 10 seconds matter more than your next 10 years of training. If they tell you to leave, leave. Don't argue. Don't lecture. Don't say, "But that sign isn't valid." Don't say, "But Texas is constitutional carry." Because verbal notice counts, and refusing to leave can be the thing that triggers the arrest. This is why I tell people, the smartest gun owners are not the loudest gun owners. They're the ones who quietly avoid problems. And here's the part nobody talks about enough. Some places are not just private property rules. Some places are prohibited places under Texas weapons laws, and they have their own rules. So you can't treat every building like it's just a normal store. Hospitals, event venues, racetracks, amusement parks, and places with security checkpoints can have special rules and sometimes different notice requirements. If you're not sure, assume you might be walking into a trap and confirm before you go in. Now I want to challenge you with a question. Have you ever walked into a building and thought, "Wait, can I carry here?" If your answer is yes, that means you already know the feeling. That feeling is your brain warning you that you don't have enough info. Listen to that feeling. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the 5 words that protect you when cops ask about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Segment 3. Alcohol locations are one of the easiest ways to accidentally commit a serious offense. This is where it gets scary because this one catches regular people all the time. Texas treats some alcohol serving locations very differently than others. And the biggest red flag in Texas is the 51% sign. A 51% location is basically a place that makes most of its money from alcohol for on-premises drinking. When that sign is posted, it's a major warning that having a handgun there can be unlawful. Here's how people mess this up. They think, "I'm not going to drink, so I'm fine." Or they think, "It's a restaurant, not a bar." But in real life, some places look like restaurants and function like bars, especially at night, especially on weekends, especially during big games. Now picture this. Your friend says, "Let's go watch the fight." You show up to a place you've never been. There's music, there are TVs, there are drinks everywhere. You walk in with your group, you're laughing, you're looking for a table. You miss the sign, now you're inside. And now if something happens and police respond, you don't want that to be the first time you learn you were in a restricted location. So here's the rule of thumb I want you to adopt in 2026. If you see alcohol signs at the entrance, slow down. If you see 51% anywhere, stop. If you're unsure, don't go in with the gun. Secure it legally in your vehicle if you can do that safely and legally, or pick a different place. Also, let's talk about intoxication in a simple way. Even if you're not in a 51% place, carrying while intoxicated can be a serious issue. And intoxication is not always falling down drunk. Sometimes it's enough that an officer believes you don't have normal mental or physical control. This is why the "I only had 2 beers" defense is not a plan, it's a prayer. If you're carrying, the safest move is to not drink. If you're going to drink, the safest move is to not carry. That might sound strict, but strict beats handcuffs. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Segment 4. Prohibited places are bigger than you think, and I didn't know is not armor. A lot of gun owners have a mental list of prohibited places that looks like this. Schools, courthouses, airports. That's it. But Texas has a longer reality, and specific rules can change based on the location type and what part of the property you're on. This is why I tell people to stop thinking in simple lists and start thinking in risk zones. A risk zone is any place where you see metal detectors, you see security guards checking bags, you see big warning signs at entrances, you see a crowd control setup like an arena, You see medical services like a hospital. You see government services like courts or certain offices. If you walk into a risk zone while carrying and you're wrong, you don't get a friendly warning in many cases. You get detained, disarmed, and investigated. And even if you avoid criminal charges, you can still lose your gun for a while, pay legal fees, miss work, and have your name run through the system. Let me give you a hypothetical example to explain this. You go to a big fairground event. It feels public. It feels open. Families everywhere. You assume carry is fine, but the event is being held on a property with special rules, and the entrance has posted restrictions. You walk right in. A security guard sees a holster or a bulge. They stop you. Now you're in a confrontation with someone who might call law enforcement. Even if you end up leaving without an arrest, you've created a serious situation for yourself. And if you refuse to comply, it can get much worse. So the smart move in 2026 is to plan ahead. If you're going to an event, check the venue rules. If you're going to a hospital, assume special rules exist and confirm. If you're going somewhere new, look for posted notices before you step inside. Segment 5. The sign law mistakes that get people charged are usually ego mistakes. This might step on some toes, but I'm going to say it anyway. Most legal trouble starts with ego. Not the gun, not the ammo, not the holster. Ego. The ego says, they can't tell me what to do. The ego says, that sign doesn't apply to me. The ego says, I know my rights. The ego says, I'm going to educate this manager. But in real life, the property owner doesn't have to debate you. They can just call the police. And when police show up, they usually don't want to stand there for 20 minutes while you explain sign requirements. They want the situation to end. That often means you leave or you get removed. Here's the smartest habit you can build. If you get notice, leave immediately. Handle the legal debate later with a lawyer, not in the lobby of a business with a pistol on your belt. This is not being weak. This is being smart. Segment 6. Your car is not a magic bubble, and traffic stops are where small mistakes become big ones. Traffic stops are where the real world meets the law. In your head, you're thinking, I'm legal. It's in a holster. I'm calm. This should be fine. But traffic stops involve stress, fast questions, and misunderstandings. Here's what I want you to do in 2026 if you carry and you drive. First, keep your carry setup consistent. Don't toss your gun into random compartments. Don't shove it under the seat. Don't hide it in places that make you look nervous. Second, plan your behavior. If you get stopped, keep your hands visible. Stay polite. Don't reach around suddenly. If you need to move, ask first. Third, understand that an officer's view of safe may not match your view of safe. So you want to avoid any movement that looks like you're grabbing the gun. And here's a key point many people forget. If you're prohibited for any reason and you have a gun in the car, the "it was just in the car" argument often won't save you. So your real protection is being eligible in the first place, not having a clever excuse later. Segment 7, home, rentals, and my landlord says no is more complicated than people realize. If you live in a rental, you've probably seen it in a lease. No firearms. That freaks people out. And it also makes some people angry. Texas passed laws that restrict how landlords can ban firearms in certain residential situations. There are defenses to prosecution added for certain tenants and their guests in some contexts. But here's the problem. People hear that and assume, I can ignore every rule and do whatever I want. That's not the smart move. The smart move is, know your exact housing situation. Know what type of property you're on. Know what parts of the property are covered. Know what transport rules mean for moving between your unit and your vehicle. And if you're unsure, get actual legal guidance. Because the goal is not to win a debate with your apartment manager. The goal is to keep your freedom. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the 50,000 gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe. Segment 8. The biggest felony risk is thinking the law is simple. This is the part that surprised me when I started covering gun law years ago. Most felony gun cases are not movie villains. They're regular people who made one wrong decision at the wrong time. And those decisions usually look like this. Carrying while not legally eligible. Carrying into a prohibited place, ignoring posted notice, refusing to leave after verbal notice, carrying around alcohol locations without paying attention, mixing guns and drinking, assuming nobody will notice. Let me tell you something straight. Someone notices. Maybe it's the person behind you in line. Maybe it's the coworker who doesn't like you. Maybe it's the manager. Maybe it's security. And once someone notices, you don't control what happens next. So in 2026, if you want to carry and stay out of trouble, you need a mindset shift. Stop thinking, what can I get away with? Start thinking, how do I avoid being the test case? Because you do not want to be the person whose life becomes a lesson for everybody else. Segment 9, practical habits that keep you safe in 2026. Let's make this simple and practical. Habit 1, do a quick personal status check. If you have any past arrests, convictions, deferred cases, or court orders, confirm your current legal status before you carry. Don't assume. Don't guess. Confirm. Habit 2, do a door scan every time you enter a building. Before you walk in, look at the entrance area. Look for posted signs. Look for alcohol warnings. Look for 51%. Look for security. If you see anything that makes you unsure, stop and decide before you cross the threshold. Habit 3, leave immediately when told. If a property owner or manager tells you no guns and tells you to leave, leave. You can come back later without the gun. You can shop somewhere else. You can talk to a lawyer later. But refusing in the moment is where arrests happen. Habit 4, don't mix carry and drinking. If you're carrying, skip alcohol. If you want alcohol, skip carry. That rule alone prevents a ton of problems. Habit 5, plan for the car stop. Know where your gun is. Keep it secure. Don't fidget. Don't reach around. Keep your hands visible. Habit 6, don't rely on internet rules. Texas gun law changes, court decisions happen, agency policies shift, and details matter. Your cousin's advice can't protect you in court. This information could literally expire after January 2026. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before that deadline hits. Now let's land this plane. Here's the key takeaway. Texas in 2026 may allow many adults to carry without an LTC, but it does not forgive sloppy mistakes. The rules about who can carry, where you can carry, and how private property can give notice still matter. And the easiest way to get hammered is assuming you're legal without confirming. If you got value from this, subscribe right now because I'd rather you learn these rules here than learn them in the back of a patrol car. And share this with one friend who carries because one saved mistake can save a life, a job, and a future. Final disclaimer in simple terms. I'm not your lawyer. This video is general educational information, not legal advice. Laws can change and your situation matters. If you need advice for your exact case, talk to a qualified Texas attorney.